Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. I'm Angela Joseph, and I'll be serving as the MC for the Asia Pacific session. On behalf of International Women's Peace Group, IWPG, I would like to warmly welcome you to the 2026 Global Women's Peace Forum. Thank you for joining us from different countries and regions around the world. Your participation reflects our shared commitment to building sustainable peace through dialogue, cooperation, and women's leadership. Before we begin, I would like to provide a brief announcement regarding the interpretation service. The official languages for this session are English and Korean, and the session will be hosted in English. Interpretation is also available in Japanese, Indonesian, and Mongolian. Please select your preferred interpretation language using the interpretation button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Today's forum brings together women leaders, policymakers, educators, civil society representatives, researchers, and peace practitioners to discuss the peace challenges facing each region and to develop practical policy recommendations together. This forum was designed with one simple but important purpose: to listen to the voices of women on the ground. Too often, discussions about peace begin at the global level and work their way downward. Today, we're taking the opposite approach. We begin with the lived experiences of women in each region, because lasting peace must be built on an understanding of local realities. Every region has its own history, culture, social context, and peace-building priorities. The challenges facing women in Africa are not identical to those in Europe. The realities of Asia Pacific differ from those of the Americas, while South Asia and Middle East each face their own unique circumstances. For that reason, meaningful solutions cannot be one size fits all. They must reflect the voices, experiences, and priorities of the women who know their communities best. At IWPG, we believe that sustainable peace begins with individual women. We believe that when one woman recognizes her own value and discovers her potential as a peace builder, her influence extends to her family, her community, her nation, and ultimately the world. This belief lies at the heart of IWPG's work. Regardless of race, religion, nationality, social background, or culture, we strive to empower every woman to become a local peace leader, someone who voluntarily and independently contributes to building peace within her own community. After all, no one understands what a region needs more than the women who live there every day. That is why today's forum is intentionally open, interactive, and participatory. Rather than limiting participation to a select group of experts, we invited women from diverse backgrounds across each region to join this dialogue. Every experience matters. Every perspective is valuable, whether you are a policymaker, a researcher, a community leader, or someone working quietly within your own neighborhood. Your voice has a place in today's discussion. Throughout today's sessions, I encourage everyone to speak openly, listen respectfully, and engage with curiosity. Let us not only identify the challenges we face, but also share practical solutions, successful local initiatives, and recommendations that can inspire action far beyond our own communities. It is our hope that today's forum will connect women across different regions and backgrounds, strengthen mutual understanding, and generate practical recommendations grounded in the realities of local communities. The ideas and recommendations developed today will not end with this forum. The outcomes of all 4 regional forums will be brought together and published as the Global Women's Peace Recommendations 2026. IWPG will work to ensure that these recommendations are carried forward beyond today's discussions. We will share and amplify them through international platforms and in our engagement with government representatives, international organizations, civil society, and other relevant stakeholders. Through this process, we hope that the voices of women from each region will contribute to future policy discussions, inspire continued dialogue and cooperation, and lead to meaningful action for sustainable peace. Most importantly, we hope every participant leaves this forum knowing that her voice matters and that meaningful peace begins when local women are empowered to lead change within their own communities. Now, I would like to briefly introduce today's program. Today's forum consists of 5 parts. First, we will begin with the welcome remarks by President of IWPG. Next, we will hear 2 panel discussions. The first panel will focus on identifying the most urgent peace challenges facing this region. The second panel will explore practical solutions, policy approaches, and models of cooperation. Following each panel discussion, participants will take part in a short live poll to identify the most important priorities. Based on those results, everyone will join small group discussions to develop regional recommendations. Finally, representatives from each group will present their recommendations before we conclude today's forum. We encourage everyone to participate actively throughout the program. To officially open today's forum, it is my honor to invite the president of International Women's Peace Group, Ms. Na Young-jun, to deliver the welcome remark. President Jung, the floor is yours.
Distinguished speakers, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from around the world. I am Na Young-jun, the president of IWPG. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the Global Women's Peace Forum. Although we are connected through an online platform, we are united by something much greater than technology. We are connected by our shared hope that together we can build a more peaceful, more just, and more sustainable world. Thank you sincerely for taking the time to be with us and for bringing your experiences, perspectives, and commitment to today's dialogue. Today, the challenges facing our world are becoming increasingly complex. Beyond armed conflicts, we are confronted with climate change, rapid digital transformation, and the spread of misinformation, forced displacement, widening inequality, and growing polarization. Women are also facing persistent barriers to their rights and opportunities, from gender-based violence, including digital violence, to unequal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. At the same time, issues such as food, water, and shelter security, migration, and post-conflict recovery, environmental sustainability, digital inclusion, the rights of persons with disabilities, and the empowerment of rural women and women entrepreneurs continue to shape women's daily lives in different ways across the world. These challenges do not exist in isolation. They intersect, reinforce one another, and create increasingly complex realities for women and girls. As a result, enjoying a peaceful and dignified everyday life has become more challenging than ever before. That is why peace today cannot be built through a single solution or a single perspective. It requires multiple approaches, cross-sector collaboration, and above all, a deeper understanding of realities people face in different fields of the world. This is precisely why we believe it is more important than ever to listen to regional voices. Women living in each community understand the challenges they face better than anyone else. They witness changes long before they appear in international reports. They experience crises before they become global agendas. and they often discover practical solutions long before governments or international institutions are able to respond. Unfortunately, the pace at which the international community reaches consensus is often much slower than the pace at which new challenges emerge on the ground. By the time global discussions lead to collective action, countless women have already been living with those changes for months or even years. We simply cannot afford to wait. We need to hear what women are seeing, experiencing, and creating today, and ensure that those lived realities are reflected in tomorrow's international discussions and decisions. If we truly want sustainable peace, we must shorten the distance between local realities and global decision making. And the first step is to listen to the voices of women who are living those realities every day. At IWPG, we believe something very simple. Peace begins within people. Governments create policies. International organizations facilitate cooperation. But lasting peace is ultimately created by ordinary people who choose dialogue instead of hatred, understanding instead of prejudice, and cooperation instead of division. Women play a particularly important role in this process. We know that if one woman discovers her own value and embraces the values of peace, her influence extends far beyond herself. That is why IWPG invests in women, not simply because women deserve opportunities, but because empowering women is one of the most effective pathways towards sustainable peace. Through peace education, leadership development, and international cooperation, we seek to help women recognize that they are not only beneficiary of peace, but builders of peace. Today's forum reflects that belief. Around the world, every region experiences peace differently. The challenges facing women in Africa are not identical to those in Europe. The realities of Asia Pacific differ from those in the Americas. South Asia and the Middle East face their own unique complexities. Yet one truth connects all of us. No one understands the realities of a region better than the women who live there. The solutions we seek cannot come only from outside. They must also emerge from the voices, experiences, and wisdom of local women themselves. That is why today's dialogue is so important. I also hope today's discussion goes beyond identifying problems. The world already knows many of the challenges. What we need now is greater courage to share practical experiences, successful approaches, and ideas that can inspire others across borders. Every community has stories of resilience, and every country has women creating peace in their own way. Those stories deserve to be heard, and they deserve to shape international conversations. The discussions and recommendations developed through this series of regional forums will not remain here. I encourage each of you to participate today with sincerity, openness, and passion. Listen carefully to one another. Share your own experiences honestly. And when today's forum concludes, I hope you will take these conversations back to your own communities. Turn today's dialogue into tomorrow's action, because each one of you is already an agent of peace. At IWPG, we also make this promise to you. We will bring together the voices and recommendations from all 4 regional forums and amplify them within the international community. They will also contribute to the discussion at 2026 International Women's Peace Conference to be held this September in South Korea, where women's voices from every region will come together to shape future international dialogue and cooperation. Today's conversation is therefore not simply an exchange of ideas. It is the beginning of something much greater. Before I conclude, I would like to leave you with one thought. Peace is a choice that each of us makes every day. And history shows us that lasting peace has always begun when ordinary people decide to become extraordinary builders of hope. I believe every woman joining us today already possesses that power. May today's dialogue strengthen our shared commitment, deepen our mutual understanding, and inspire meaningful action for generations to come. Thank you once again for joining us. I wish you all a fruitful and inspiring forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President Jun, for your inspiring remarks. We appreciate your vision for strengthening women's leadership in building sustainable peace, and for reminding us why today's dialogue is important. We will now continue with our first panel discussion. Our first panel focuses on identifying the most pressing peace challenges facing this region. Our panelists will discuss the current conflicts and peace issues affecting their communities, the impact on women and society, and the challenges that requires the most urgent attention. I would now like to invite a distinguished panelist. Our first speaker is attorney Melanie Lambino. Melanie Lambino is board member of National Federation of Women's Club of Philippines. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Melanie, the floor is yours.
Good day, everyone. President Nayong John, President of IWPG, women leaders from different parts of the world, good day. Today, I am both honored and grateful to talk about a topic that is very crucial to our society's future, building peace, empowering women. People often view peace as the absence of conflict, noise, and violence, but it is actually more than that. Peace is the presence of equality, justice, safety, and understanding. It is a state where every person is valued, respected, and heard. And today, we stand together to affirm the undeniable truth that lasting peace cannot be achieved if we leave half of our world's population behind. There will be no progress and no truly united community unless we fully empower women and recognize their essential roles and contribution in shaping families, communities, and nations. Throughout history, women have served as leaders, innovators, educators, and peacemakers. Yet, despite their significant roles, many women continue to face barriers that prevent them from fully participating in leadership and decision-making. Many women experience discrimination, violence, unequal access to education, and limited opportunities to lead. And when women are denied these opportunities, society misses out on their ideas, talents, and leadership. Empowering women means breaking down these barriers. It means ensuring that women have equal access to express their opinions, share their experiences, and take part in decisions that affect their communities. When women are given the chance to lead and participate, they bring valuable perspectives, innovative ideas, and deep commitment to cooperation and understanding. Women's empowerment is not about proving that women are better than men. It is about recognizing that every woman deserves the same opportunities to learn, grow, lead, and succeed. Empowered women become confident individuals who uplift others, create positive change, and inspire future generations. When women are educated, supported, and trusted with leadership, they become the catalyst for stronger families, thriving communities, and a more peaceful society. One of the most important parts of empowerment is creating safe spaces where women can speak openly and participate in dialogue, leadership, and decision making without fear of discrimination, harassment, or violence. Every woman deserves to feel respected and supported, whether in her home, school, workplace, or community. Safe spaces are not simply physical places. They are environments built on trust, respect, and inclusion. They allow women to express their ideas, report injustices, seek support, and contribute confidently without fear of judgment or retaliation. When women feel safe to raise their voices, their experiences and perspective help shape better decisions, strengthen relationships, and build communities where understanding and peace can truly flourish. Gender equality also plays a key role in building peace. Equality is not about giving one group than another. It is about ensuring that everyone has the same opportunities, rights, and respect. Building peace also requires us to respect and appreciate the diversity of cultures, traditions, beliefs, values, and ways of life, recognizing that our differences enrich our communities and strengthen mutual understanding. When women and men work together as equals while embracing this diversity, communities become stronger, more united, and better equipped to solve challenges peacefully. When we empower women, they become powerful agents of peace. They help resolve conflicts, strengthen families, promote education, and inspire future generations to value compassion, justice, and cooperation. When we give women the chance to lead, they show us what peace really looks like. But building peace doesn't rest only in the hands of women. It is a responsibility shared by everyone. Each of us can contribute by promoting respect, understanding, standing against discrimination, supporting equal opportunities, and encouraging women to pursue leadership roles. As members of our communities, we have power to make a difference. We can challenge harmful stereotypes, support equality, and become advocates for peace in our schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods. The journey towards peace begins with each of us. Let us choose respect over prejudice, cooperation over conflict, and equality over discrimination. Together, we can build a world where peace is lasting because every woman, every man, and every child have the opportunity to thrive. Thank you, and may we all continue to be builders of peace and champions of women's empowerment. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Ms. Malini. And our next speaker will be Carol Shaw from Australia, Director of International Access Networks. Please join me in welcoming her. Carol, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. As Angela said, my name is Carol Shaw, and I'd like to begin, if we can go to the next slide, please. Who's controlling the slides, Angela? There, yeah. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land and waters which I speak today. I live, work and play on the lands of the Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation here in Naarm, Melbourne, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded in battle and bargain, and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And this is a big issue of peace in our country. Next slide. Today, I've been asked to offer a brief overview about the major challenges for peace in Asia and the Pacific region. And I want to do this through a human rights lens, and particularly through the lens of women in all their diversities. My focus is today not on military strategy, and I recognise that the important work's being done in that space. My focus is on human security, the conditions that allow people to live safely with dignity and with access to resources, justice, voice and opportunity. Peace is more than the absence of war, as Melanie has just said. Peace is reflecting in the air that we breathe, the land and waters we share, the safety of our homes, the smiles of children, the ability to earn a living, to move freely, to speak freely, to access healthcare, education and justice. Peace, human rights and sustainable development are not separate agendas, they are deeply connected. Next slide. But peace is also a hard-fought political goal across Asia and the Pacific region. Competition over territory, maritime interests, natural resources and strategic influence is increasing. The Asia-Pacific at this time, or at the end of December 25, hosted 25% of the world's active conflicts. Now, the risk of conflict does not only come from open warfare, it also comes from mistrust, miscalculation, inequality, poverty, displacement, climate pressure, criminal economies, and the erosion of civic space. And this region is extraordinarily diverse in peoples, language, cultures, religions, political systems, and economies. It's also central to the global future. It's home to 60% of the world's women and consumes and provides a very large share of the world's natural resources and includes some of the most disaster-prone and climate-vulnerable communities on Earth. The pressures are overlapping. The next slide, please. Natural disasters and extreme weather events, earthquakes, tsunamis, cyclones, typhoons, fires, floods, and rising sea levels are devastating communities and stretching humanitarian systems. Recent regional humanitarian reporting estimated that Asia and the Pacific accounts for around 3/4 of people affected by disasters globally. And in 2025, those natural disasters affected more than, and this is only reported figures, more than 29 million people across 17 countries in the region. So climate change does not automatically cause conflict, but it acts as a threat multiplier. It intensifies competition for land, water, food, and livelihoods. It drives displacement. It increases the pressures on governments, local communities, and humanitarian systems. It can deepen existing tensions, especially where inequality, weak institutions, or unresolved conflict already exists. The Pacific, which is a large part of our region, also carries the long shadow of nuclear testing and renewed militarization that raises deep concern for communities whose land, waters, and bodies have already carried that cost of nuclear violence. Women and girls face specific risks from radiation exposure. These include reproductive health impacts, social stigma, increasing care responsibilities, and long-term trauma that's carried by families and communities. At the same time, transnational crime is surging across parts of Asia and the Pacific. Human trafficking, drug trafficking, cyber operations, illegal logging, illegal fishing and wildlife crime are not separate from peace and security. They feed violence, corruption, exploitation, and displacement. They thrive where oversight is weak, where poverty is high, and where people have few economic choices. Cybercrime is a particularly sharp example. It reaches people in their homes, in their phones, and in their workplaces. In parts of Southeast Asia, trafficked people, predominantly women, have been forced into cyber scam centers where forced criminality, sexual exploitation, and extreme violence are used as methods of control. Piracy and at-sea robbery are also increasing concerns in parts of the Indo-Pacific. They affect regional security, coastal livelihoods, fishing communities, the movement of goods. And when maritime insecurity grows, the impacts are not only strategic or commercial, they are felt by families whose livelihoods depend on the sea. These are human rights violations, and they are peace and security issues. So when we speak about peace, we must ask, peace for who? Security for who? And who gets to sit at the table when decisions are made? Next slide. This is where a human rights lens matters. Unlike Europe and America, the Asia-Pacific region doesn't have one single legal binding regional human rights treaty. Instead, countries rely on United Nations treaties and agreements, national constitutions and laws, sub-regional declarations, national human rights institutions, and heavily on civil society networks. These frameworks matter. The Universal Periodic Reviews, CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, the Women, Peace and Security Agenda, and the Sustainable Development Goals all provide commitments that governments have already made. All provide a reporting mechanism for both states and civil society to report to. In particular, as we head towards 2030 and the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goal 5 on gender equality, Goal 10 on reduced inequalities, and Goal 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions give us a shared language, actions, and targets with which to work towards. They remind us that peace cannot be built if women are excluded from decision-making, if poverty is feminized, if justice systems fail survivors, if displaced communities lose access to health and education, or if national security is pursued at the expense of human security. Conflict and crises have increased the feminization of poverty and displacement across the region. Women living in conflict-affected and disaster-affected areas experience harm in multiple overlapping ways. They face restrictions on movement and expression. They may experience abduction, disappearance, arbitrary detention, torture, sexual and gender-based violence, forced marriage, or exploitation. They may lose family members, homes, land, access to oceans, livelihoods, and community networks. And climate disaster makes this work. Gender roles, limited mobility, unequal access to information and resources, and exclusion from decision-making all shape who is exposed and who is least protected. Women's unpaid care increases during crisis. Women's informal labour keeps families alive and yet is invisible in economic statistics and absent from reconstruction planning. When crops are destroyed, when fishing villages are damaged, when homes are flooded, when clinics close, when schools are interrupted, where roads become unsafe, rights are not abstract. The right to health, housing, education, food, safety, freedom of movement, privacy, fair trial, and political participation are all affected. Sexual and reproductive health rights especially are among the first to be neglected and amongst the last to be restored. And yet women are not only victims of crisis, women are peace builders, organisers, carers, negotiators, educators, emergency responders, and community leaders. They create safe spaces for women and children. They rebuild livelihoods. They hold communities together. They carry knowledge about local needs, local risks, and local solutions. But too often, they are still missing from the formal decision-making tables on reconstruction, security, climate adaptation, and peace building. So this is why in this region, progress remains too slow. It's not because the frameworks do not exist, they do. It's because communities are not working for peace, they are. It's because implementation is weak, funding is inadequate, gender equality targets are often too modest, and political commitment rises and falls with national interests. Local peace initiatives are often expected to do the transformative work with short-term, fragile funding. And there's a huge gap between the global promises governments make and the national systems that are meant to deliver them. International agreements can be powerful, but only when they're translated into budgets, laws, services, data, accountability, and representation. A commitment to women's participation means little if women cannot travel safely to meetings, if meetings are held in languages they do not speak, if childcare is unavailable, if local women's organisations are not funded, and if survivors cannot access justice. So what is needed? And this is my final slide. First, we need to keep human security at the centre of peace and security discussions. National security cannot be separated from the safety and dignity of people. Second, we need to sustain investment in women-led and community-led peace building. Third, we need gender-responsive climate action, disaster reduction, and humanitarian response. And fourth, we need accountability by our governments for human rights obligations that governments have already accepted. And finally, we need women in all their diversities at every decision-making table, not as an afterthought, but as a condition of effective peace. If we view peace only through the lens of borders, weapons, and strategic competition, we will miss the daily realities that either sustain peace or destroy it. But if we view peace through a human rights lens, we see more clearly. We see that peace is built in homes, in communities, in courts, in schools, in clinics, in parliaments, in disaster response, in negotiations, and in local women's organisations. Peace is not only negotiated after conflict, it's created by the choices we make before violence escalates, whose rights we protect, whose voices we hear, whose labour we value, whose safety we fund, and whose leadership we trust. The challenge for the Asia-Pacific region is immense, but so is the knowledge, resilience, and leadership already present in its communities. If we're serious about peace, then we must be serious about human rights. If we're serious about human rights, then we must be serious about gender equality. And if we are serious about gender equality, then women in all their diversities must not simply be protected by peace processes, they must shape them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Carol. Our next speaker is Kanakagiri Yashaswini from India, founder of Loud 2 Consulting. Please join me in welcoming her. Kanakagiri, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Am I audible to everyone? Yeah, perfect. Yes. So good morning and good afternoon, depending on whichever time zones you're in. It is a privilege to join women leaders from across the Asia-Pacific region. And today I invite you to explore peace from a different perspective, not through policies alone, but through neuroscience. So I will discuss how Sushumna meditation may contribute to mental well-being through mechanisms that align with contemporary neuroscience and why inner peace is a vital component of sustainable peace. I believe that global peace starts with inner peace. So just the next slide, please. Thank you. When we think about peace, we often imagine diplomacy, treaties, and conflict resolution. While these are essential, neuroscience reminds us that peace also begins within the individual. Global peace begins with the human mind. So every peaceful conversation begins with emotional regulation. Every act of compassion begins with a calm nervous system. So peace is not achievable if millions of nervous systems remain trapped in chronic survival mode. And I'll explain why this happens. Why mental health matters for peace. So our brain strives to keep us alive and safe. So the amygdala in the brain, it's a small component, it constantly scans for danger. So whenever a threat is perceived, the hypothalamus activates the stress response, meaning the sympathetic nervous system is activated. This is the fight or flight state. This increases the stress hormone cortisol and adrenaline in the body. Now, these hormones are life-saving during emergencies to run from danger. They were very much relevant during the Stone Age, but not today. So our brains have not evolved with time. So modern life exposes us to continuous psychological stress. Although we may no longer face physical predators or animals running behind us, but our brains react to deadlines, financial pressure, social media, war and uncertainty, and conflict in a remarkably similar way. So many people remain in a prolonged fight or flight state. What happens? We become more reactive, less patient, less present, and less emotionally available. And peace cannot flourish when our nervous system remains chronically dysregulated. Next slide, please. So the neuroscience of meditation. Meditation does not help us feel relaxed. It changes how the brain responds to stress. Slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system through the vagus nerve. The heart rate slows down, breathing becomes more efficient, and so we know that the switch from the sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic nervous system is key to help us keep us regulated. The prefrontal cortex, which is another component of the brain, is the part responsible for planning, empathy, and self-control. And this can help us better regulate our emotional responses. Research also suggests that regular meditation improves neuroplasticity, allowing the brain to develop healthier emotional habits over time. So meditation is therefore brain training rather than merely relaxation. Next point, please. So understanding meditation, we all know that meditation is a practice of focusing the mind and becoming aware of the present moment. It helps individuals connect with their thoughts, feelings, surroundings in a calm and positive way. Next slide, please. What are the benefits of regular practice of meditation? It has many benefits, including reduced stress, improved concentration, better emotional control, and increased self-awareness. It also supports overall well-being by creating a peaceful state of mind, which is very essential for correct decision-making. Next slide, please. Now, I want to offer a practical solution to all the leaders out there that we can achieve brain coherence in the fastest way possible. And the solution that I'm presenting is Sushumna meditation. Why Sushumna meditation? Because it's a combination of 4 meditation techniques embedded into a single process, already studied within the contemplative neuroscience. So there are 4 key steps to this. The first step is the yoga mudra, as you can see on the screen. I've joined the thumbs and index fingers and interlocked the remaining 3 fingers. Now, this mudra instantly calms the nervous system and just works on it. It helps you relax. And the second step is the M chanting. The syllable M, the vibration of the sound of the syllable M itself can help you calm down, and it helps, less mental activity in the brain and prepares the nervous system for relaxation. So let me chant it for you. And we do this usually for 21 times. So, sometimes the vibration is so high that the laptops cannot catch it. So you can realize once I say the M syllable, after some time you can no longer hear it while I'm continuing to chant it. The next technique is long and deep breathing. Now we all know how breath works on the body and mind. Slow conscious breathing further regulates the autonomic nervous system, and it stimulates the vagus nerve, and it creates the bridge from mental calmness to physical relaxation. In this meditation, when we breathe in, we inhale positives like love, peace, joy, and exhale negatives like anger, stress, and grief. So when you breathe in, feel that you're taking in peace and release all the stress from your body as you breathe out. So in this technique, we do this for 14 times. One inhalation and one exhalation counts as one. Now lastly, focus on the third eye. Concentrating or bringing your awareness at the third eye region, which is the region between your eyebrows, enhances mental focus and reduces distracting thoughts, and guides the practitioner into deeper states of meditation, stillness, and restorative awareness. And we try to remain in a thoughtless state and keep coming back to the third eye region as we drift away. Now, this technique can be done for a total of 21 minutes a day, and it helps to rewire your mind. And continued practice helps to completely change the thinking patterns and overcome negative thoughts and subconscious blocks. So, next slide, please. From inner peace to global peace. I would definitely say peace is not merely the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of emotional stability, empathy, and constructive relationships. This is exactly where neuroscience meets peace building. Inner regulation influences how we speak, listen, and respond. Emotionally dysregulated individuals are less reactive. They communicate more effectively. They resolve disagreements more constructively. And these behaviors spread through families, through workspaces, and in the communities, and on a large scale on the entire world. So peace therefore scales from individuals to global society. Next slide, please. Now, I would urge everyone to imagine if every school taught emotional regulation in childhood. Imagine workplaces investing in resilience alongside productivity. Imagine community centers offering regular meditation sessions, and also imagine policymakers recognizing mental well-being being an essential component of building peace. And so, the last slide. Communities cannot sustain dialogue, inclusion, or reconciliation when individuals remain chronically dysregulated. So meditation offers one practical, low-cost, culturally adaptable tool that can strengthen emotional regulation, empathy, and resilience. So please support peace building from the individual to the community level using meditation as a key tool. Thank you. And if time permits, can I please take you through this technique? I'll just do it for a couple of minutes. And so you can feel the technique and then you can do it by yourselves. So I want you all to take your specs and keep them on the table. Relax. Keep your spine erect. Keep your hands in the yoga mudra. You can join the tips of your index fingers and thumbs and interlock the last three fingers and place it gently on your laps. And close your eyes. For the next 2 minutes, you have nothing to do, nowhere to go. And let us all together chant the M syllable together. Okay, let us begin. Close your eyes. Chant the M syllable along with me. Mm. 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 Keeping our eyes closed, let us gently take in long and deep breaths. And as we inhale, feel that peace fills all the cells in your body and you're relaxed. And as you breathe out, feel all the stress released from your body. We keep doing this for 7 times. Gentle breathing in and out. Slowly inhale and exhale. Feel the sensations in your body.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Kanakagiri, and for the beautiful meditative experience. Unfortunately, we have to move on.
Sure.
But our next speaker is Mujhan Tahiri from Australia. And she is the founder and the CEO of Uniting Circle Multicultural Community Center in Australia. Please join me in welcoming her. Mujhan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever around the world that you hear us, you see us. What an amazing session from 3 lovely women that was before me. My presentation is just going to be a little bit more personal from a woman and a girl that have gone through some stuff that I'd love to share my experience with you. So what I'm talking today is about building peace together, addressing regional challenges and women voices. Peace begins when every voice is heard, every woman is empowered, and every community stands together. Next, please. I'm just going to talk about a little bit about Uniting Circle, who we are and what we do. So we are in Australia and we're one of the non-profit charity organisation, a registered non-profit NDIS provider, and also DGR informs charity, supporting multicultural communities across Western Sydney and working with refugees, migrant, women, seniors, youth, and people living with disability in Australia. Our mission is to build inclusive, connecting, resilient community where everyone belongs. And one of my main focus is that helping and empowering women that they have gone through a lot in their life, which I can be one of them myself, and building an empowerment through education, work and job industries towards them as well. If I can go next, please. Why peace matter? Peace is more than just the absence of war. Peace means safety, equality, respect, opportunity, inclusion, human dignity. If we're looking for peace, if we're looking for a meaning of peace, for every individual can be meaning differently. But the main meaning behind it is the safety that we're talking about. communities cannot truly prosper until every individual has an equal opportunity to participate in the meaning of peace himself. Why matter? Why the equality and respect? It's very, very important, especially when it comes to women and children. Next, please. One of the regional challenges that we face, and we can see that we're facing kind of almost all around the world, is many communities continue to experience conflict and displacement, forced migrations, poverty, family violence, racism and discriminations, social isolations, mental health challenges, and barriers to education and employment. These challenges particularly affect women and children. And when we're looking at war aspect, and when we're looking at the conflict of the displacements, you're packing in a suitcase and you're going to a new country with leaving everything behind. That force of immigrations and the poverty of comings behind it, the family violence that I worked every day with women that they are relying on men because of their educations, because of not having an income, not having the right, and not knowing the right has becoming a concern and has becoming quite active, and not knowing that what's the real meaning of family violence means. The family violence doesn't mean that someone will come and punch you. A family violence means that isolations is there, controlling financially, emotionally, everything's going to be connected with the family violence. And that itself is quite very important to understand as a woman, and educating other girls and getting them and educating other boys or men to understand that what is the full meaning of family violence means. One of the things that unfortunately seeing quite bold is the racism and discriminations. What is that racism and discrimination means? Doesn't matter where I'm from, doesn't matter what color skins I have, doesn't matter what religion I have, we are individual and we are human. We need to learn that respect and respecting to other group is quite very important. And it's quite very, very important when it comes to the mental health challenges. Mental health challenges, it's a link, it's a tree to everything else. And as I said, unfortunately, with my experience that I have seen, the quite biggest bold area is the women and children, that they are quite suffering quite very badly throughout the years, that we see them, that they're suffering the most out of everybody else as well. If you go next, please. Why women's voice matter? I can see a large number of beautiful, successful women today. Women are not only survivors. We are not only survivors. Women are leaders. We are leaders. We are peace builders. We are educators. We are community connectors. We are decision makers. We are the one who can build a better future for every single one of us. Researchers constantly show that the peace agreement are more suitable when women actively participate in peace building and leaderships. We can make better decisions. We can make a correct decisions when it comes to the leaderships, but we need to remember as well, it's not about being women or being men. It's about being individuals, supporting each other and lifting each other up, especially when it comes to women. Women have to support women. Women have to be there for each other. We have to direct each other. We need to be able to lift each other up instead of pulling each other around. And I suppose this is why it's very important to know that other voice is quite very important and is very matters as well. Next, please. I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey, about Mujgan Tahrir, that it's originally from Afghanistan. The last memory that I brought with me is war. The last memory that this girl, that she was 5, she was left Afghanistan with war because her Bibi John or her Nana pulled her hands and saying, let's go under the stairs because tanks are coming to the street. That's the memories that I'm looking at it every single day. And is it still happening? And is it still the girls are going through this? Is still my girls that are from Afghanistan, education is being taken away them, life is being taken away from them. This is the girl that it's been left the countries many, many years ago. But when I came to Australia on the 6th of the 6th, 2001, I promised myself one day I will make a difference. one day I'll be examples for so many other girls that they could not be able to believe in themselves and not knowing that what they're going to do and what they want to do. The journey has not been easy. The journey has not been a piece of cake, but I did it. And I'm proudly today, I have the privilege of funding Uniting Circle on the 6th of the 6th, 2024. It took me 23 years to get to the dream that I wanted. It got me 23 years of not giving up, of dreaming big, of saying that, yes, I can do it. Even with 1 million doors got open to me, but I did not lose my hope, but I did not lose my hope, but I still tried and I've tried and I've tried. And today I'm supporting thousands of multicultural community members. I'm supporting community for women, and I'm valuing a lot of women that they ever thought that they never can get into the educations, and they are qualifying with the masters. They never thought that they can become in the work industries, and we're giving them the jobs, and we're allowing them to be able to build in the jobs. And we're building a partnership that create a lasting socializing changes. My journey is a reminding me and so many women around the world that every person deserves hope and opportunities to have a better life and to have a better opportunities in the life that they deserve to have. Next, please. The power of partnerships for me has always been quite very bold and important. It doesn't matter where you are and where you live. We can put a real changes. We know that the real changes happens through collaborations when we work alongside each other, from local government to New South Wales Health and every health in your country, education institutions, community organization, volunteering your time and your values to the other organizations that can build that partnership with them. Any cultural leaders that can come to us and, will us to be able to build a better future for everybody else, and faith community and local businesses. Together, we create a stronger, safer communities. As I said, if we can be able to gain as much as experience as possible, but not just that, hold each other hands for once and say, hey, are you okay? Can we do anything? Do I have something in my power or in my skills to be able to help you? And if we can do it, let's do it together as well. Next, please. What we need to do for a better future. The strength of peace is invest in women leaders. Listen to community voices. Increase cultural understanding. Every culture, every country, every culture, there's a meaning behind it, okay? Look at this picture. We planting a seed, and that seed, it grows to a tree. The roots is strong. If we want individuals strong, if we want any individual to be strong, they shouldn't be forgetting who they are and where they're from, because that root is who they are, where they're from. But I'm investing my time on efforts on a country that it gave me hope, and a country like Australia that it gave me a better future and a better future that I can have for everybody else. Support refugee settlements. I've seen cases and cases and cases of everyday cases about the settlement services. They're coming to their new countries, which they're ending it up with suicide because the culture is different. They don't understand why they're here, or they don't understand what they're doing here. Improve access to their educations. Education is the best weapon that every woman and girls can use in their life. Education can give you the best life that you can deserve in any aspect in yourself. And expand mental health services. If someone it's not feeling okay, let's help them. Let's value them, and let's see what we can do to be able to help them in that aspect. Encourage young people to become leaders. Help them to become leaders. Help them to do what they need to do and how they can do it in the best aspect as possible. And build partnership across cultures. That partnership and that peace is everybody's responsibility. I feel what we can do to make this world better, it's let's love each other. Let's give love and kindness to each other, because we can start planting that flower of kindness and plants of hope for each other, and we can be the message. Let's start for us and with us. That can be the best future that we can build for each other as well. Next, please. One thing that I want to ask all of us that are here today, and ask this question from yourself, and be very honest when you're answering that questions. How can I create peace in my community? Whose voice have I not heard today? And how can I empower women around me? What partnership can we build together? And small action creating a lasting changes. I bring peace to the communities, but what have I done to bring that peace to my community or to the communities that I know around me as well? Next, please. Building peace together starts with us. Together, we don't just build communities, we build hope, dignity, and a future where everyone belongs. Majan Tahiri, founder and CEO of Uniting Circle Multicultural Community Centre. My contact details is on there. It will be my honor to be able to get connected to all around the world, so many beautiful women that is here, and to be able to see how we can make the peace more colorful, more bolder, and more beautiful. Next, please. I would like to say a big thank you to IWPG this opportunity. And my last message is peace begins with love. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Mujan. Please join me in giving another round of applause to all our distinguished panelists for sharing their valuable expertise and perspectives. Based on what we just heard, we would like to ask everyone to vote for peace challenge that you believe would have the highest priority. But before we do that, we would like to ask each of the panelists one question about their presentation to help participants gain a deeper understanding of the issues discussed. Due to time constraints, we kindly ask each panelist to keep their response to approximately 1 minute. And so first for Attorney Milani, can I ask, despite the process we made, many women still face barriers to leadership. And in your opinion, what is the greatest challenge we need to overcome? And how can communities work together to address it?
Hello, good day again. I believe one of the greatest challenges we still face is the persistence of gender stereotypes and unequal opportunities. Many women have the skills and potential to lead, but they often encounter discrimination, limited access to education and resources, or cultural expectations that discourage them from taking leadership roles. And overcoming this challenge requires a collective effort. Families can encourage girls to pursue their ambitions. Schools can promote gender equality and leadership opportunities. Workplaces and organizations can create inclusive policies. And community leaders can also actively support and mentor women. Men and boys also play an essential role by becoming allies who challenge harmful stereotypes and advocate for equal opportunities. When communities work together to create an environment where everyone has an equal chance to lead and contribute, we not only empower women, but also build stronger and more inclusive and peaceful communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your response. Now we'll turn to our next panelist, Carol Shaw. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience today on top of what you presented?
I'll keep it very brief. I was asked to do a regional overview, and a lot of the other speakers spoke about the personalization of that. And I think we have to recognize that this is personal, peace is personal, and our governments, we are the ones we should be talking to our governments. We should be assisting, as Merjgan said, creating the spaces so that women can bring their voices into these arenas, and holding our governments accountable for the commitments that they've made. So really, you know, the global and the local are very connected, and there's responsibilities at all levels. So I think that's all I'd like to add.
Thank you for your thoughtful response. For our next question is for Kana Kagiri. Your presentation highlights Indian success in reducing Naxal violence. So how can other countries facing insurgency or extremism adapt India's experience without simply copying its model?
Thank you for the question. I think not only, so I've worked for both the federal and state offices in Melbourne. So I used to work for the MPs, and as I spoke to the communities, I think every time we tried to bring about social cohesion, it came down to also regulating, like I said, being heard, your needs need to be heard, and they need to be put out in a very regulated way for others to understand you, your point of view. So there needs to be, coming from a space of peace and not from a space of agitation. And I believe that this can be done across the world and communities can come together in social cohesion while keeping their, needs in a better way possible. And so everyone can hear them and we can implement the right steps to bring it all together.
Thank you for your valuable insights. And we come to our last panelist, Mujan. I would like to ask as well, how can I personally create peace in my community? I think she is gone somewhere. That's okay. Hi, Mujan, welcome back. We just have a quick question for you.
Sorry, guys. I was just doing a supervision and they called me as well. And they're like, I had to jump in from one to another. So I do apologize.
That's okay. So
All right,
the question was, how can I create peace in my community personally?
I believe for me is I've looked at this question a few times last night, and I believe that we need to talk about a little bit more about the culture that we're from, for and giving that understanding about the peace and what the peace means within ourselves. For me, I'm the biggest believer on hope, and the hope comes by when you have hope. That hope comes by you need to have that missions of hope around you. For me, when the community comes, the first questions that I always ask them, are you okay? And Carola, we have that are you okay they hear quite often, but that are you okay doesn't mean that ask them and give them a lecture. Ask them and sit and listen to them and hear from them and be the ear for them and be the what, instead of you talking back to them and say, hey, I went through this, let's hear and let's get them to get it out of your chest. So I think what we can do as a peacemaker within our community, be the ear for so many people, because these days so many people going through a lot themselves. And then instead of you talking to them and lecturing them, I love the Bishikla, for so long I was not sitting and giving that therapy to myself. Do something that it's quite unusual and you have not done it, and that itself I think it's going to be quite a achiever as well.
Thank you very much. And please join me in giving another round of applause to all our distinguished panelists today and for sharing their valuable expertise and perspectives. And so based on what we just heard, we would like to ask everyone to vote for a peace challenge that you believe should be the highest regional priority. Please take a moment to submit your response. Okay.
Wow, speaking of that.
Thank you. These results will guide our small group discussions later today as well. And so we will continue with our second panel discussion. Our second panel explores practical solutions for sustainable peace. Today's discussion will focus on policy recommendations, educational approaches, community initiatives, and collaborative models that can address the priority challenges identified earlier. So I would like to invite our panelists for the second discussion. The first panelist I would like to invite is Dr. Huong Nguyen, who is a lecturer from La Trobe University in Australia. Please join me in welcoming her. Dr. Huang, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I thought that I'm the one to speak, but can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear
we
you.
can hear you. All right, excellent. Because I made some changes. Is it all right, Angela?
I'm sorry, I think your audio cut out. Could you please repeat that?
Ah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Your voice is a bit soft. Is it possible
All right,
to...
maybe.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Would you be able to speak a little bit louder?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, this is good.
Can you hear me now?
This is great.
All right, okay. I'm just asking if I may share my own slide because I've made some minor changes. Is that all right?
I think it
Yes,
should
you
be
can
fine.
turn now. Yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. Can you see my slide? Sorry.
We could see it, but it just disappeared.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, it's all good to go.
Okay, excellent. Sorry for I thought that I'm the next one to speak, but good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands from which I'm joining you today and pay my respect to their elders past, present. I'll also extend that respect to all First Nations peoples joining us today. And also would like to thank the organizers for bringing together this wonderful forum and for the opportunity to share my research with participants from across the Asia-Pacific region. It is a real honor to join you today and to speak alongside so many inspiring women leaders from across the region. My name is Huong Nguyen, and I'm a lecturer and researcher at La Trobe University in Australia. I was born and raised in Vietnam before moving to Australia. Like many skilled migrant women, I arrived with education, professional experience, and a strong desire to contribute. I worked as a very young female dean at the age of 27 before migrating to Australia. But I also had to learn when moving to Australia, a new culture, build new relationships, and establish credibility in an unfamiliar environment. That experience led me to one question that has shaped my research over the last several years. Why do so many talented migrant women struggle to have their capabilities recognized, even when they have so much to contribute? So I'd like to share what my research and the remarkable women I've had the privilege to meet has taught me about building a sustainable peace through inclusion. Before I share my research and suggest some solutions, I'd like to provide a little context about Australia. Australia is widely recognized as one of the world's most multicultural countries. Today, almost half of all Australians were either born overseas or have at least one parent born overseas. Around a quarter of Australians identify with non-European and indigenous backgrounds. So you might expect this diversity to be reflected in leadership, but it isn't. People from this background occupied only 5% of senior leadership positions across Australia's largest companies, governments, and universities. Women also remained underrepresented in leadership, holding fewer than 1 in 5 CEO positions nationally. So the question that has driven my research is simple. If diversity is one of Australia's greatest strengths, why doesn't it become more visible as we move into leadership? So that question led me to the stories that I'm about to share. So let me introduce you to Sima. When she arrived in regional Australia during COVID, everything was unfamiliar. Like many migrant women, she had left behind family, friends, and professional networks, and the confidence that comes from knowing how society works. She told me she felt invisible, but something changed. She found connection through her local community. Gradually, her confidence grew. She realized she wasn't alone. So instead of asking who will help us, she asked how can we help each other. So today, Sima leads a grassroots network of more than 80 migrant women. Through Facebook, WhatsApp, and community events, these women share information, celebrate achievements, support newcomers, and create opportunity for one another. Sima didn't simply build a network, she created belonging. That changed not only her life, it changed the lives of many other women. And I believe belonging is one of the foundations of sustainable peace. Sima's story is inspiring, but it's not unique. Over the past several years, I have interviewed hundreds of migrant and ethnically diverse women leaders across Australia, and my colleagues also interview these women in the United Kingdom. So these women came from many different countries. The picture here is the representation of some of our women, but they are not actually the participants from my research. But these women are participated in our IWPG's recent Victoria chapter on the Women Peace Day. So you can see these women, like the the women in our photo, came from many different countries. They work in business, healthcare, education, engineering, government, and many other sectors. Many had already been successful leaders before migrating. But what surprised me the most was this. The problem was almost never talent. These women were highly educated, highly experienced, highly motivated. The challenge wasn't capability, it was recognition. So there's a recognition gap. Because their qualification were often questioned, their leadership experience became invisible. Their professional networks disappeared, and opportunities became much harder to access. This creates what I call a recognition gap. When talent is not recognized, it becomes untapped potential. Not because women lack the ability to lead, but because the system fails to recognize what they can already contribute. The good news is that this gap can be closed. By creating more inclusive systems, that recognize people's strengths, remove unnecessary barriers, and open pathways to opportunity. When talent is recognized, women have the opportunity to lead. Leadership strengthens organization, as one of the previous speaker, Mugan, with her UC organization. I think it is amazing to see that as an example. Leadership strengthens organization. Leadership strengthens community. Stronger community becomes the foundation of sustainable peace. So the question becomes, how do we close the recognition gap? So based on my research and my conversation with the community that I spoke to, I want to suggest 3 practical solutions. The first solution is surprisingly very simple, and I think it aligns very well with a lot of the messages that our previous speakers have spoken about. That is community. The first solution is to build confidence through community. Before people can contribute, they need to feel that they belong. We saw this in Sima's story. She didn't become confident first and then join her community. Her community helped build her confidence. Through organizations like Doorbells, migrant women find safe spaces where they can connect with others, rebuild confidence, learn how Australian systems work, practice English, ask questions, and support one another. Over time, confidence becomes participation. Participation becomes leadership. We often think leadership starts in the workplace, but many leadership journeys actually begin in the community. And I can share a lot of examples, but because of the limited time, I just can't. But you can see the example of previous speakers already. Community organizations don't just provide services, they create belonging, and that is important because belonging creates the confidence that enable women to contribute, lead, and strengthen their communities. Community gives women confidence, but confidence alone is not enough. Women also need opportunities. Across my research with migrant and ethnically diverse women leaders, and more recently through conversation with migrant women, employers, and community leaders in, for example, Greater Shepparton in Victoria, I kept hearing the same message. The biggest barriers were rarely capability. They were systems. Sometimes, and from the poll that I saw the result, we also seem to have the same answer. Sometimes overseas qualification or not recognized, not sometimes, but in many cases in Australia. Sometimes information was difficult to access. Sometimes transport or childcare made participation in regional areas impossible. These are practical barriers, which means they have practical solution. So we don't need to fix migrant women. We need to redesign system. We need to open the door and create pathways. And that brings me to the last proposed solution. My final recommendation is collaboration. No single organization can unlock multicultural women's potential alone. So I want to propose that belonging should be the purpose. And in order to create belonging, government, just the quiz just appear on my screen. So governments create supportive policies, universities provide education and research, community organizations build trust and confidence, and employers create opportunities. And from your perspective, you can add your own organizations or the group or the entities that you think should join in this mission of building partnerships together. Every organization has part of the solution, but none of us has the whole solution. So when these partners work together, I believe that belonging grows, confidence grows, leadership grows, and stronger communities emerge. Sustainable peace is not created by one organization, but it is created by partnerships. So perhaps the question is not how can migrant women fit into our system? It becomes how can our organizations better recognize migrant women's strengths? I'd like to leave you with one simple message. Throughout this presentation, we've talked about belonging. We've talked about recognition, and we've talked about leadership, because I believe they are deeply connected. We saw this in Simmer's story. She didn't become a leader because somebody gave her a title. She became a leader because she found a community where she belonged, and that belonging gave her confidence. Her confidence inspired action, and her leadership created opportunities for many other women. My research tells a similar story. Migrant women do not lack talent. Too often, they lack recognition. When talent goes unrecognized, everyone loses. Organizations lose valuable skills, community lose future leaders. Society loses innovation, creativity, and connection. But when we recognize people's strengths, confidence grows, leadership grows, communities grow together, and stronger communities become the foundation of sustainable peace. So I'd like to leave you with this thought. Peace begins when every person's talent is recognized. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Dr. Huon. And we would also like to say apologies due to a technical issue. The second live poll was displayed earlier than intended. And so our next speaker is Suraya Kamaruzaman from Indonesia, a lecturer of Sia Kuala University. Please join me in welcoming her. Suraya, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Distinguished participant, colleagues, and friend, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is a great honor to join the 2026 Global Women Peace Forum. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the International Women Peace Group for giving me the valuable opportunity to share the experience, perspective, and voice of Achinese women at this important forum. Today, I would like to bring the voice and experience of Achinese women into our shared experience discussion on peace, resilience, and climate justice. Aceh has experienced prolonged conflict, a devastating tsunami, and an increasingly visible climate crisis. This experience teaches us that recovery cannot end with rebuilding road, house, and institutional. It must also rebuild trust, protection, social relationship, and women power to shape decision. My presentation is entitled Beyond Recovery Expands Women's Leadership for Peace and Community Resilience in Aceh. Next slide, please. Okay. Why does Aceh voice matter? Because Aceh is not only a place that survives crisis, it is also a living laboratory of peace building and community resilience. Women in Aceh have support survival, protection family, mediate tension, sustain local livelihood, and preserve social cohesion. They are not merely beneficiary of recovery, they are architect of peace. The value of Achinese experience lies is connecting this grassroots leadership with formal policy, public funding, research, and social protection. In this way, a local experience can provide practical lesson from the Asia Pacific region and beyond. Next, please. Yeah, for almost 3 decades, armed conflict affected daily life and caused profound human loss. This around 30 years and nearly 15,000 life lost. And then in the 26th of December 2004, the Indian Ocean tsunami killed approximately 165,000 people in Aceh and Nias. And less than 8 months later, the Helsinki Memorandum of Understanding opened a new political space for peace and institutional recovery. Today, another layer has emerged. The climate crisis, including coastal hazard, flooding, livelihood insecurity, and increasing pressure on the social protection. When conflict, pressure, and conflict, disaster, and climate risk overlap, recovery cannot be measured only by the number of buildings that have been reconstruction. It must also be measured by whether communities regain safety, trust, dignity, and the ability to make collection decision. Okay, next please. And then this brings us for 3 urgent peace building challenge. The first, conflict and disaster can damage social trust and weaken public confidence in institutional. Second, women carry major responsibility for caregiving, household, survival, community protection, and mediation, but often have limited formal authority. And the third, climate and disaster-related pressure can deepen economic insecurity and reopen underlying social tension. Together, these challenges create a fourth problem. Women's work in essentially, but much of them remain informal, invisible, and poor connection to public policy and funding. The task is therefore not to create women leadership from nothing. The leadership already exists. Our task is to recognize it, provide adequate resource, and transform into meaningful public authority. Next, please. And then global evidence confirm that women meaningfully participation strengthens peace. When women are meaningfully involved, a peace agreement is approximately 20% more likely at least 2 years and 30% more likely to last for 15 years. However, women remain significantly underrepresented in formal peace process. In 2024, you can see women represent only around 7% in negotiator, and then 14% of mediator, and 20% of signatory. This figure actually clear contradiction. This figure show women participation improve the sustainability of peace, but the design of peace process still restrict their access. Representation must therefore be more than symbolic. Women need access to information, negotiation space, resource, decision-making right, and effective follow-up mechanism. Next, please. The Aceh tsunami, sorry, this is a wrong type, also demonstrate that disaster risk is not gender neutral. Studies found the rate of mortality of approximately 12% among men, but in female it is 16.4%. This means that women's mortality risk was approximately 1.4 times higher than men. This difference should not be interpreted as a lack of strength among women. This is a reflex. This is different of access of women, different of information, mobility, caregiving, responsibility, social expectation, and protection need. Disaster preparedness must therefore be designed with women, not simply for women. Early warning system, evacuation plan, shelter, risk communication, and recovery service must respond to realities of women, children, elders, person, and other vulnerable groups. Next, please. And women leadership in Aceh has already been proven across several decades. Since 1889, Flower has played an active role in addressing various strategic issues affecting women, including economic empowerment, reproductive health, the protection of survival of violence, and environmental sustainability. Over time, other women's organizations emerged and began working collaboratively to strengthen the women movement in Aceh. This organization, including Women Volunteer for Humanity, Relawan Perempuan untuk Kemanusiaan, the Acehnese Women Union, Serikat Inong Aceh, Balai Syura Urang Aning Aceh, and various other women's groups and network. In 2000, the organizing of Duk Pakat Inong Aceh marked an important milestone by bringing together women from different region and background. The gathering focused on the central theme of women and peace and provide a platform for Acehnese women to voice their experience, need, and aspiration in Acehnese peace building and development process. And following the 2005 peace agreement, women networking in Aceh strengthened their advocacy for survival of conflict and violence, the fulfillment of human rights, and the protection of women and children. In 2014, the Women, Peace and Security Framework, the National Action Plan for the Protection and Empowerment of Women and Children in Social Conflict, became an important policy foundation for strengthening women's protection and participation in conflict and post-conflict social. Its implementation was subsequently reinforced to the sub-national level through the development of Aceh Regional Action Plan for the Protection and Empowerment of Women and Children in Social Conflict. Since 2017, women in Aceh has also expanded their leadership and participation in building climate resilience. This effort has been advanced through a partnership with university, the protection and rehabilitation of mangrove ecosystem, and gender response natural resource management. Trusted community networks already exist. What they need is recognition, institutional space, and sustained support. Next, please. And then actually there is the formal representation gap. However, women major social contributions are still not matched by the seat of the decision-making table. In 2005, women held only 8.97% of seats in the Aceh Parliament. This remains far below the 30% affirmative benchmark for women candidates. This gap shows that grassroots leader does not automatically become formal authority. Women may be invited to meeting, but attended alone is not meaningful participation. We must ask more important question. Are women given speaking role? Can they influence budget? Are their recommendations included in program? Do the resting decision improve protection and public service? Institutional support must be deliberately designed because women influence can simply be by assumes. Next, please. Climate risk is also a peace issue. When coast ecosystem decline of livelihood become unstable. Family may face migration, debt, heavier caregiving burden, competition over resource, social tension, and greater exposure to violence. These impacts are gendered because women often have less access to land, capital, technology, information, and formal decision space. At the same time, women are powerful again of resilience. In Aceh, this can be seen through women involved in mangrove conservation, local enterprise, disaster preparedness education, and community-based natural resource management. Peace, climate, livelihoods, and security must therefore be addressed as one interconnection policy agenda rather than a separate issue. Next, please. Based on this lesson, I propose a 5-step model to expand women leadership. The first, creates meaningful decision-making space where women have seat, voice, and authority from the village level to the province level. And the second, strengthens women community network as system for early warning, mediation, mutual support, and local accountability. And third, connects peace building with livelihood, social protection, and survival center recovery. These efforts should be supported through accessibility and flexibility small grant. And then fourth, integrate peace education and disaster risk reduction through intergeneration learning on nonviolent human rights, preparedness, and environmental responsibility. And then the last one, build a strong partnership ecosystem involves government, university, civil society organization, religions leader, and customary leaders in young people. Each community must adapt this model to its own culture, local context, and trusted network. The indeed outcome is clear. Women's voice must shape decision, budget, protection service, and community resilient plan. And then I think it's this last one. Next, please. So to measure progress with a variable indicator is really important to get some indicator to make sure this is it is not just good narrative, but it need be progress. First, like meaningful participation should be assess a true speaking role, decision-making right, and follow up on women recommendation. We should also track budget allocation for women network, protection service, and disaster preparedness. Social protection mean indicator should include survival referral, physico-social support, documentation, assistance, and access to legal service. And then disaster preparedness should be verified through regular drill, risk map, early warning system, and evacuation plan that are responsive to the need of women and children. And then we should also monitor climate resilient livelihood and integrate intergeneration learning. The key question is not simply how many women attend. The key question is, did women gain variable space, resource, involve, and authority? And then my recommendation for regional and closing. Please, last one. Next, yeah. First, formalize women leadership in peace forum, disaster resilient village, and local claims plan. The second, provides flexible funding for grassroots women network, protection service, and climate resilient livelihood. And the third, integrates women, peace and security, disaster risk reduction, and climate action into local policy, support by disaggregated data and clear accountability. And then fourth, strengthens intergenerational peace education involves women, young people, school, religious leaders, and customary leaders. And then the last one, building campus community partnership for action research, documentation of good practice, and context-sensitive replication. Beyond recovery means more than restoring what was lost. It means changing not has the authority to shape the future. Chinese women do not merely preserve peace. They lead communities toward a future that is more peaceful, more just, and more resilient. Thank you.
Thank you to Ms. Soraya. And I would like to also mention that there was a power outage in the Aceh region yesterday, and the power didn't come up back on until early morning. And we truly appreciate Ms. Soraya for being here today and for your resilience. And so we would like to also thank both our speakers for your presentations today. And before we move on to the second live poll, I would once again like to ask each panelist one question about their presentation to help the participants gain a deeper understanding of the ideas and recommendations that have been shared. As a gentle reminder, due to the time constraints, we kindly ask each panelist to keep their response to approximately 1 minute. And so your ideas will provide valuable direction for action. So first of all, for our Dr. Huang, the question is, if there was one action that governments, employers, or community organizations could take tomorrow to better support multicultural women's leadership, what would it be?
Thank you, Angela. That's a great question. If I had to choose just one action, it would be to create more opportunities for genuine belonging. As I mentioned in my presentation, before women can contribute their skills, they need to feel welcome, respected, and recognized. So belonging builds confidence. Confidence encourages participation, and from participation, women can develop leadership. And I just want to give one quick example. That is an organization that I'm a part of. That is called HAM. So this is a volunteer led multicultural community organization in Melbourne, organized, leading primarily by women. So HAM doesn't simply provide charitable support, but it brings people from diverse cultural backgrounds together around a shared purpose. So together we organize community events such as dancing, singing, running. But through these activities, we raise funds. We raise funds, provide voluntary opportunity, supporting disadvantaged children in Vietnam and cancer patients in Australia. And so multicultural women build relationships, contribute their talents, gain confidence, and develop their skills. So in a nutshell, I believe that when each organization, or if we ourselves can create environments where multicultural women truly belong, we unlock talent that benefits individuals, organizations, communities, and ultimately contribute to a more inclusive and peaceful society. Yeah, sorry if it takes longer than 1 minute.
Thank you for your thoughtful response. And also for our Miss Soraya as well. The question will be, based on Aceh's experience, what is the most important step to transform women's informal community leadership into meaningful authority in formal decision-making processes?
Unmute yourself. You need to unmute
I'm so
yourself.
sorry, Miss Soraya, you're muted.
Okay. Thank you for the important question. Based on Aceh experience, the most important step actually to institutionalize women participation by giving them the real authority, adequate resource, and clear accountability within formal decision-making structure. Women in Aceh have long demonstrated strong community leadership, particularly in peace building, disaster response, social protection, education, and the manage of community need. However, their leadership often remain informal, voluntary, and depend on personal relationship rather than being formal recognized within government institutional. Therefore, meaningful transformation requires more than inviting women to meeting or including them symbolically in a consultation forum. Women must have clear, defined role, voting right, access to information, influence over budget and program. Their participants should be embedded in regulation, institutional procedure, village government mechanism, development planning forum, peace building structure, and disaster risk management process. And I think it is also essential to address the practical barrier that prevents women from participating effectively. This include limit access to funding, lack of technical and administrative support, unequal care responsibilities, restricted access to political network, and social norm that still position women primarily as community volunteer rather than decision making. Capacity building is important, but it must be combined by institutional reform. Women should not be expected to continually prove that they are capable, while the system itself remains unchanged. I think this is my answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please join me in giving another round of applause to both our panelists. We will now conduct our second live poll. This time, we invite everyone to vote for the solution or policy recommendation that you believe should be the highest priority. So please submit your responses now. Thank you. The results will help share the recommendations developed during our group discussions. We will now begin the interactive peace dialogue and recommendation development session. In a few moments, participants will be automatically assigned to their breakout rooms. Each group will be facilitated by a moderator who will guide the discussion and help prepare a draft recommendation. During this session, participants are encouraged to discuss the priority peace challenge, explore practical solutions, and identify responsible stakeholders, and also to develop a clear recommendation together. You will have approximately 50 minutes for discussion. Please enjoy your conversations, and we look forward to hearing your recommendations when everyone returns. If you haven't entered the discussion room, please feel free to join a random one. If anyone has not been assigned to a breakout room, please feel free to choose a breakout room to go into. Breakout rooms will be closing in 1 minute. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you had productive discussions and meaningful exchanges. We sincerely thank all participants and moderators for your thoughtful contributions. So we will invite each moderator to present a brief summary for about 1 minute for each of the room. And before we do this as well, I would like to introduce the next stage of this initiative. And so, first of all, could I please invite moderator Catherine?
Yes, thank you, Miss Angela. For our breakout rooms, the key challenges in our regions that we have identified for Aceh and Kiribati are sexual abuse, domestic violence, and lack of education opportunity. And to address them, we propose the following recommendations. Improve the education, especially in Sharia compliance region or countries, and encouraging girls' education. Secondly, strengthening laws and support services for survivors of domestic or sexual violence and encourage girls' education. And finally, providing leadership training for women. And that will be all for my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. And can I also please invite moderator Rina?
Hello, Angela. Thank you. I will share about the challenges that were discussed in my breakout room. So some of the challenges mentioned were regarding the challenges with children and families within the peace within the family. And also one challenge that was mentioned was often the stereotypes that women have within their culture of staying in the household and not doing enough within the community. So some of the key recommendations that was mentioned was firstly regarding the family is the importance of education and also working together with other organizations to create that peace within the family first and then also building that within the community. And regarding the stereotypes that women face, the other recommendation was strengthening the government policy to encourage more participation for women so that they can also actively contribute within the society. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Rina. And can I also ask Shin Yong Kim?
Thank you very much, Angela. To go through the discussion from our breakout room, and we talk about the PISA challenges mainly from Australia and Philippines. And the main PISA challenges are the lacks of the safe place for women, and also there's the domestic family violence and women's health issue. And as the final recommendations, we suggest increase of the safe space, and through these more women can have the community accessible to empower their leadership. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'd also like to invite moderator Sheila.
Hello, everyone. Distinguished guests, thank you so much for having us. On behalf of our breakout session, some of the key challenges that we were able to identify within the diverse group that we had, there are some countries that even have difficulty bringing up peace within their countries because they're at a state of war. There are some countries where it's hard to gather participation. This was a huge challenge that we saw, whether at the leadership level, at policy, or at the grassroots, just getting the women at the local level involved. And thirdly, last but not least, the main challenge that we identified was just the growing increase of gender-based violence. And so because of these topics and these issues that were brought up, some of the recommendations we had, first and foremost, is we have to make sure that women are safely able to carry out the actions of peace. So to make sure, number one, that we are safe to be able to live. So creating policies so that the human rights are covering all of us and protecting us so that more action could be taken, whether at the local level or at the policy level. Furthermore, being able to utilize partnerships within the colleges or universities. So being able to leverage that for more participation, and formalizing women leaders, whether in your communities or at the more of a governmental level. And some of the successes that were also shared within our breakout session were, in areas where they're not able to speak about peace, perhaps putting together a peace library like they did in Mongolia, so that people could come and learn about the peace that is taking place, and perhaps even without words, be able to learn about some of the initiatives that are taking place. So those were some of the things I hope that we can continue to share and continue these discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I would like to invite moderator Dari Yu.
Yeah. Firstly, we had participants mentioned about discrimination, which is a significant challenge. Then we highlighted discrimination based on gender, race, religion, and minority status, which continues to create different social issues. So, and some participants emphasized the importance of women's meaningful participation in peace building and decision making. And also, we raised concerns about the impact of misinformation and disinformation against women. False information spreads through social media, affecting democratic processes, communities, and families. And we stress that promoting truthful information really matters for building peaceful societies. So based on our discussion, we propose some recommendations. First, strengthen inclusive government policies and consultation mechanisms so that women and marginalized communities can participate meaningfully in decision making. And second, promote women's leadership and create safe spaces where women can confidently share their experiences, perspectives, and solutions. And third, strengthen efforts to eliminate discrimination and build more inclusive societies. And address misinformation and disinformation through education, and cooperation among governments. And we had some good example of the Philippines. And finally, we have to strengthen regional cooperation, like we do among women with voices. And in conclusion, our discussion went to certainly reaffirm that sustainable peace requires inclusive governance and equal participation and the environments where every woman has the opportunity to be heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would like to invite moderator Jocelyn.
Thank you, Angela. I'll just give a summary of what we spoke about in our breakout room this afternoon. So we spoke quite a lot about barriers that women, especially migrant women, face when it comes to things like leadership or also peace building in our area as well. Many women take on unpaid community leadership roles or even caregiving roles within their own families. And unfortunately, this often leads to issues such as burnout or even reducing their ability to, say, also work, develop their careers, and then participate in decision-making roles. Another key challenge that we identified was gender-based violence, which continues to be quite a widespread issue across cultures and communities here. We also noted that there are many economic inequalities that also come from things such as caregiving responsibilities that limit women's career progression and also even their financial independence, making it difficult to actually achieve that genuine gender equality as well. We really stressed that equality cannot be achieved without first addressing even structural inequalities or inequities that women face. And as solutions, we also spoke about the importance of hearing from other women, hearing their lived experiences, and really advocating for our own communities so that change can happen. Not waiting, but really advocating for our own communities to make that change. And so this strengthening accountability also between local and global action, holding even the local things, holding them, having them to accountability to actually make change so that the commitments on gender equality and women's rights can be accurately reflected here within community-based levels as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last but not least, moderator Grace.
Okay, thank you, Angela. In our group discussions, we have identified a range of issues, but we agree that the most urgent one is that one we have just touched upon, gender-based violence, violence against women, particularly domestic violence and violence perpetrated by youth. So we come up with 3 recommendations. First, I think that just has been touched upon by the other group as well. We need more women, particularly women leaders, to engage in policy makings, so women's voices can be heard and the policies will be more women orientated. That's our first recommendation. And our second recommendation is we think the local government should establish more venues or platforms for women who suffer from domestic violence so they can come up and share their stories and receive support from communities. And also the local government, they can fund some programs such as mediation so the women, they can heal their inner self and regain their inner strength. So that's our second recommendation. Our last recommendation is brought by one of our participants. She's a mother, and I think this is a very valuable point. And she said we should involve youth in peace program, particularly sustainable peace programs, so they can learn the spirit of peace, and they can build a good relationship with their families. So our youth will become future leaders of peace and not perpetrators of violence. So that's all the 3 recommendations come up with in our group discussion. Thank you.
Thank you to all our moderators and participants. If we can give everyone a round of applause for participating. And so what comes next? Today's forum is a part of a broader global process. The recommendations developed across all regional forums will be consolidated into the Global Women's Peace Recommendations 2026 and presented at the 2026 International Women's Peace Conference, which will be held in September in the Republic of Korea. The International Peace Conference is IWPG's annual global conference, bringing together government officials, representative of international organizations, legal experts, academics, and civil society leaders, and peace practitioners from around the world to share best practices, exchange ideas, strengthen international cooperation for peace. And so the QR code is now displayed on the screen, and we will take you directly to the conference registration page. On behalf of IWPG, I would like to warmly invite everyone in participating in today's forum and to join us at this conference in this September. Please take a moment to scan the QR code. We sincerely hope to welcome many of you again in Korea as we continue this important journey together and further strengthen our global partnership for sustainable peace. Thank you for your continued support and participation. Before we move on, we would like to take a brief group photo together. So to capture everyone on the screen, we will keep the gallery view open for approximately 30 seconds. May I kindly ask everyone to turn on your camera and, if possible, look at the camera and hold your brightest smile. Please remain as still as possible while we capture the photo. We'll begin the countdown now. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wonderful! Thank you everyone for your cooperation and your beautiful smiles. And now we will conclude today's Global Women's Peace Forum. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all our speakers, moderators, interpreters, volunteers, and participants for your experience, ideas, and commitment we have made in today's meaningful dialogue. We hope today's discussions will continue beyond this forum and inspire stronger cooperation for sustainable peace in every community. Thank you once again for joining us. We wish you a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you again in the 2026 International Women's Peace Conference. And this concludes today's program. Thank you.